Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 50 of the Ask Abhijit show. So, today we complete a half century. It's all thanks to you. Thank you so very much. I would never have been able to complete 50 episodes or reach 50 episodes if it was not for your viewership and your support. So, thank you so much, all of you. And today I am doing an experiment. If you can see the chat, I will take some questions through live chat or through video chat. So there's a link for you to join. And the rules are very simple. You need to have a decent internet connection. Your webcam needs to work, and you need to have decent audio. And I will take one question per viewer, whoever joins. So I already have a number of people who have joined, and I will take them one at a time. But let's first take a look at who all is here with us tonight. So let's see who are with us. I can see Ojasva VS, Kushal Gowda, Rajat Singh, Yash, Akash, Siddharth, Beyond Heights, Hit Lin 69, Raghav Jit, Akshay, Joseph, Rahul, Amrinder Hans, Varad Dongre, AR Divesh, Akshat, Shubham, Him Shekhar, Omkar, Great Kafir, Anmol, Baba Shop, Akhan Bharat, Shady Narcotics, Pratishwar, Saturu Gojo, Amruta Dilip, Karan Rana, Bluebird 03, Conqueror, White Tea, Isha Sharma, Himmat, Divij, Apratim, and so many people. Anish Abraham, Neha Rangotra, Rishikesh, Rahul, and too many people for me to name. It's so nice to see you all. Great to see you all. So today we will do a Q&A of course, and I will take some live uh, questions from live chat. So guys, if you want me to put you on live chat, your mic needs to work, your uh, video also needs to work. So I will also take live chat questions. So let me take one viewer. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
Hi. What's your name? Where are you from?
Sir, my name is Banu. I'm from Jammu and Kashmir.
Fantastic, fantastic. So do you have a question for me?
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask, sir, in our text and Vedas, they mention about sir Loks. Sir, are they the planets that people lack to explain?
That's an interesting question. So they talk about Lokas and all. I'm not sure exactly if they're planets or not, because as we know, in the ancient days, we did not have space travel, we did not have satellites, we did not have telescopes and all. So maybe it is various dimensions that perhaps could exist beyond the physical realm. Maybe that is what they were talking about, the different lokas and all. So I think there are seven lokas, right? Seven lokas. There is
Yes, sir.
Patal Loka,
Yes,
and there
sir.
are higher lokas as well, etc. So I think these are metaphysical or philosophical realms of existence. It is not exactly physical. I don't think they were talking about different planets, because these planets exist in our own plane of existence. It's not in a different dimension, a higher dimension, or anything like that. So I think this is not science, this is spirituality or philosophy. And we cannot mix these two, because science talks about what we can observe and what we can detect, and spirituality, philosophy, it talks about things that we cannot actually observe or detect. So I think the lokas they talk about are non-physical realms of existence, which science cannot prove exist or don't exist. So I think that would be your answer.
Yes,
Does
sir.
it make
Thank you,
sense?
sir. Yes, sir. Sir,
All right. All
sir,
right.
what
All right.
books
Thank you
I
so
should
much.
read?
Oh, I think I have a book recommendation video on my channel. So it's, I think, one of the first videos I made. So I think you should take a look at that. And I talk about history as well as quantum mechanics and physics and all that. So you will get some ideas over there. All right.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I am very
Thank you
happy.
so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much for being here. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay. I'm gonna take some other people. Who do we have here? Hello.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Abhiraj. I'm from Bhopal.
Okay, do you have a question for me?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what if India launches like missiles, armed forces, like does an attack on China and Pakistan at the same time, like tomorrow? So, what consequences will India face? Like, and what events will happen?
Well, there are consequences. If there's an action, there's going to be a reaction. The question is, does India have the military capability to take on two such countries at the same time? See, we can certainly deal with Pakistan. We can. But what about China? China is a much larger country. They have a much larger economy, multiple times our economy. They have been investing for the past 30 years plus in their military might. So yes, we can launch missiles. We can wipe out a few cities, etc. But what will we gain by doing that? We need to have a long term objective, and we need to pursue that objective. So if we launch a few missiles, we flatten Pakistan and we hit a few Chinese cities, okay, maybe we can deal with Pakistan, maybe we'll flatten Pakistan, it's over. But what about the Chinese, and what about the world? What will the world say about this? You cannot just do this sort of launch any unprovoked attacks on countries. There need to be justifiable reasons for going to war and all that. So the first question is, we don't have justifiable reasons as of now for going to war. There's no red line that has been crossed. Secondly, if we do that, are we able to then later defend ourselves when the Chinese also launch missiles? So these are the questions we need to consider, and that's why it is not advisable to take any such rash action right now until we reach a certain level of capability militarily. And also, the Chinese have not crossed any thresholds, any red lines. So we just can't do that as of now, right? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, that answers the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. Thank
Thank,
you for being here. Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
answering.
you. All right. Bye. Okay. Who else do we have? Chandana. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you doing? What's your name? Where are you from? Chandana, right?
I'm Sandana. I'm from Karnataka.
Karnataka. Oh, okay. Wonderful. So, do you have a question for me?
Yes, sir. I have a question that I have read somewhere that West Pakistan, sorry, Pakistan came with a proposal to link Pakistan with Bangladesh, and Gandhi was appointed for this. So that's why Nathuram Godse has killed him like that. I've read it somewhere.
Okay. So, what's
Is
your
it true?
question?
Sir,
I Okay, yeah, I think there was a proposal or some kind of request or some kind of desire from Pakistan to have some sort of connectivity between East and West Pakistan via India. And
eh,
I'm not sure if it was considered seriously or not. Maybe Mr. Gandhi was always in favor of whatever Pakistan requested, so we know that. It could be one of the reasons why Mr. Godse chose to assassinate Mr. Gandhi. I think Mr. Godse had written a full account of why he did what he did, why he assassinated
why
Mr.
he
Gandhi.
assassinated Mr. Gandhi.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
I'm gonna have to
I'm
mute
gonna
you
have to
because
mute you because
yeah. Okay, so what
yeah.
I'm saying
Okay,
is that
so what I'm
uh,
saying is that
okay, I'm gonna keep you muted for now. So the thing is, Mr. Godse did write a full account of the reasons for which he assassinated Mr. Gandhi. I am not sure if this was part of that, but he definitely had a list of reasons. And the main thing was that Mr. Gandhi had betrayed his nation and his people. And that's the reason why he did this. I think I have not read it in its entirety. So I think it's a complex thing, but Mr. Godse has given a proper account of, I mean, not a proper account, but his version of why he did that. So maybe this was part of it. I am not really entirely sure about whether this specific thing was part of that or not. Right, Chandana? So thank
right.
you for your
So thank
question.
you for your question.
thank you, sir.
Bye. Okay, let's take some more. I have a lot of people here. Nice to see that. Okay, I'm gonna take Aryan Reshi now. I'm gonna add Aryan. Hello, Aryan. How are you doing?
Sir, I'm fine. Good evening.
Uh, I can't hear you. Could you speak a little louder?
Sir, are you hearing me
Hello.
now?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Where are you from, Aryan?
Sir, I am from J&K, Jammu and Kashmir.
Fantastic. Nice, nice. You're the second person from there. So, what's your question, Aryan?
Sir, my question that is that, sir, what is the future of India in the field of nuclear power and solar power in the next 50 or 60 years?
So, I would say that India has a very good future in the field of nuclear power as well as renewable power, solar power, etc. India has had a nuclear power program since the 1950s, I believe, and India has advanced. I mean, India has a significant amount of technological advancement when it comes to nuclear power. We are also investing in thorium. I think there's research which is being done in thorium reactors as well, how to generate uh, electricity, etc., using thorium reactors, the thorium cycle. So I think India needs to invest more in that because it's clean energy as long as you know how to use it. So nuclear power, India, I think has good future. And when it comes to solar power, India has it's one of the best places where you get a lot of sunlight almost throughout the year, except for a few months during the monsoon. And places like the Thar Desert in Rajasthan, etc., get a lot of sunshine even during the monsoon. So I think India has a very bright future when it comes to solar power generation. So, and it is something that we need to invest in clean energy so that we don't. Uh, Thus far, I think we rely a lot on burning coal for electricity. So now Mr. Modi has started this. I don't know what he calls this abhiyan, but there is a significant push for for solar power. So I think India has a very good future in this. Right. So does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, yes, sir. Sir, one more sir thing, sir. Sir, according to you, sir, 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 in almost how many years India will achieve fusion reactor?
Right now, nobody has succeeded in creating a working fusion reactor. Fusion is something that people are pursuing. One hopes that they will achieve this in the next 5, 10, 15 years. The Chinese are trying it. They're calling it an artificial sun experiment. The Americans are doing, the Europeans are also doing it. I am not sure if India is currently pursuing fusion as a source of power, but so India, as far as I know, is not pursuing this as of today, but some other countries are doing it. And as of today, nobody has succeeded in using in creating in creating a controlled fusion reaction on Earth. So it's something that's for the future, but it's certainly possible. All right, Aryan, thank you for your questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, whom do I call now? I'm gonna call Parama. Hello.
Hi, sir. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So where are you from, Parama?
I'm from West Bengal, a small place called Chavda. I'm from West Bengal. So basically, I watch all of your videos, and I always wanted to say you just one thing that I'm a huge fan. But I also have a question for you too.
Yeah, please tell me. Yeah.
Yeah, my question is like the original writer of Mahabharata was Ved Vyas, and when he wrote Mahabharata, it was like 8,800 verses. But soon after, it was the first book was known as Jayam or the Victory. After few years, it became Bharata with 50,000 verses, and after few years, it became Mahabharata with 1 lakh verses. So my question is, what is the original? Because most people say that there are many stories or many verses which are a little bit adulterated or fictional. So, what's your thought on this, sir?
So the origins of the Mahabharata, we know that the original author, I mean, as per our tradition, has been Ved Vyas ji, but the entire path that that the literature has taken is kind of shrouded in mystery. We kind of have lost the story of the evolution of this text. Like you said, it
Yes,
was a smaller text, just Jaya, later Bharat, and eventually it became Mahabharat. And as you know, there are lots of different versions of the Mahabharat. Even outside of present day India, you have a Thai version of the Mahabharat, you have a Balinese
yes,
version, and in Indonesia and other places, you had other versions as well. I think even the Cambodians have their version of the Mahabharat. And there are
mm,
different stories in there which are certainly not there in the Ved Vyasa version of the Mahabharata. So this is something clearly that happened many thousands of years ago, and over the years, people have added certain things to it. People have added their own interpretations
Yeah,
and certain other embellishments and so on. So that's how it has evolved over such a long period of time. The
yeah,
antiquity of the text is evident from the fact that it has evolved so much over time. But unfortunately, as we know, our historians have not looked into this. They have not tried to trace the proper lineage of this text, and that's why this is something that is going to be uh, a matter for a great deal of research in the future.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
what I
yeah,
can tell you. Unfortunately, we don't have a definite answer for that, but it's a
yeah.
fascinating topic of research.
Also, sir, can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that do historians have the power to change the complete history and have their own perspective towards the whole community or the society? Do they have this power?
Anybody who creates an original work,
Hmm.
a writer, an author, a historian, anybody who creates something has the power to change perceptions, to shape the way the world looks at the way the readers look at the world. And if you are sufficiently influential, then you can
Hmm.
certainly shape the worldview of a significant portion of humanity. Now,
Yeah.
historians, so the thing is that every individual has a certain perspective, and every individual has a certain amount of bias.
Hmm.
Everybody, including me, you know what my bias is. I am very much pro India, and so everybody has biases. We have to recognize this fact, and many people, they are paid to have a certain slant in their
Yeah, yeah,
history,
yeah, yeah.
as we know. So yes, historians certainly can influence people's minds, and they can certainly shape an entire worldview of a nation. Today, as we know, our I mean, we have all been students. We have gone
Hmm.
through the entire grind of the education system, and we grew up believing a certain version of history. Now,
Hmm.
later, we realize it was not necessarily correct. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yes, they have done that. They have the power, but today, because they no longer have the monopoly on history, that's why the power is waning. So today, the truth is coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you so
Okay,
much, sir.
Parona.
It's such a
Yeah,
nice to meet you. Thank you.
nice to meet you as well. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your question. Thank you. Bye.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, bye.
Okay, who else do we have? Okay, I think Amod wants to come. I will take everyone. Hi Amod. Hi Amod. Where are you from, sir?
Hello, sir. Sir, I am from Maharashtra.
Maharashtra. Very nice, very nice. What's your question, sir? What's your question?
Sir, I want to ask the how European languages are connected to Sanskrit and how they are originated, and is there any major ancient language group other than Slavic, German, and Latin?
Okay, okay. Good question. Good question. So, when these Europeans first came to India about 500 or so years ago, uh, they came to India to colonize India and to extract the wealth out of India. Now, this British guy, these people who came to India, they were eyeing India's temples. So they knew that people donated enormous amounts of money and wealth to the temples, and that's what they coveted. They wanted that, and that is the reason why they started learning Sanskrit, so that they could study temple records and understand how much wealth is there in each temple. What is the kind of wealth that comes in every year, and so on. So that is the reason why they started learning Sanskrit. And when they started learning Sanskrit, they realized, they could see that there are so many similarities with European languages such as Latin, such as French, English, Greek, and so on. There are significant similarities. And it was very clear to them that Sanskrit is a far older language than any language that is currently present in Europe. And later, this entire thing was twisted around, and they said that Sanskrit came from outside of India, and so on. That's the Aryan invasion myth. So that is the linkage between Sanskrit and the European languages. It is called the Indo-European language family. So Slavic is part of that. The Slavic languages are part of that. The Scandinavian languages, the which are descended from ancient Viking languages, those are part of it. The Romance languages, such as Latin, such as French, Italian, etc., are part of that. And almost all the Germanic languages, English, Icelandic, German, and so on and so forth. All of these languages are part of the Indo-European language family. And to the east, the Indian, northern Indian languages, and also Many southern Indian languages have elements of this, and even Persian and so on are part of that. So it's an enormous language family, lots of languages, hundreds of languages and dialects and so on. So that is the connection. I mean, you can look it up online. There are so many words that are so similar between all of these languages, right? And Sanskrit is the oldest Indo-European language that we know of. Some historians and researchers try to claim that there are older languages than Sanskrit in the Indo-European language family, but that is all nonsense. That is just because of the consensus that they create politically, that they are able to claim such a thing. So yeah, so that's the answer. Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your question. Nice to meet you, and I will let you go now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, who else do we have? Okay, Kartikeya will come now.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
Well,
how
sir,
are you?
I'm actually fine. I will not call myself a fan as much as I look up to you as an idol. The things that you're doing for our nation is pretty admirable, and I guess everybody else should follow as well in your footsteps.
Thank you so
Uh,
much. Thank you.
yes, sir. So the question I wanted to ask, sir, is that I know you. I'm not really. I'm not really an economics student, but so I got myself interested into economics, and I started to learn a little bit about capitalism, and privatization. So,
Okay.
sir, I really like the American model. I want India to incorporate some of the aspects of it, if not all. But, sir, so considering America's impact on the world, sir, so America's M1 money stock in dollars has been rising up a very high amount in the last year, because and due to that there's a very big risk of hyperinflation happening in the world, and considering the USD standard of the world, which is deviating from the gold standard of the world, right? So wouldn't India be very negatively affected, considering that US is one of the major trade partners of India, and apart from that China is still on India's head? So how should India cope with that?
So it is always a risk when you have a certain currency that is underpinning the entire global economy, as the US dollar is doing right now. Now the now originally the US dollar was pegged to the gold rate. So it was a gold backed currency. I think it was Richard Nixon, I believe, or someone like around that
Richard
time
Nixon,
who
sir.
yes, who delinked the US currency from the gold standard, so it became a fiat currency. And today the Americans are just printing dollars, and that obviously, if you know even the basics of economics, you know that that's what causes inflation. And
Yes.
today the Chinese are trying to push their currency in certain places as the standard and all. So there is this tussle going on, this kind of tug of war. And the US economy is not quite on very good ground. The American debt to GDP ratio is ridiculous. They have accumulated enormous amounts of debt, especially since the Obama regime. So yes, it is a problem. It is something that could cause a significant financial crisis in the future, because that amount of debt to GDP ratio is unsustainable. Actually, I don't know how they're going to rectify that. And because their currency is the currency that underpins the entire world's economy, so that means that if their economy crashes, it's going to trigger a chain reaction across the world. So I think that one of the ways you can insulate yourself to some extent is to buy reserves of other currencies. And the other thing is you can hoard or stock a significant amount of gold, thousands of tons of gold. India is the country that has the most gold reserves, I think, in the population, not the government. The Indian population is the largest consumer of gold globally, I think. So there are certain things the Indian economy can do, to the Indian government can do to insulate India from such a shock, which could happen, right?
So, sir, would I add on to my question a little bit?
Yeah, please go. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So if you know Robert Kiyosaki, the writer of Rich Dad Poor Dad, yes, sir. So he actually predicted that in this month only, that the American economy is going to have a very big crash, even larger than the 2008 financial crisis as well. So, sir, even they're predicting that Bitcoin will come down and stuff like that. So we can even not put our faith in cryptocurrency as of right now, and it's very late to actually, and I'm not a very suitable financial advisor for my parents as well. So I guess so, sir. And so, what can the Indian government do in such a sense, right? So you have to see that how the Indian economy will protect itself, so that everybody does not fall into like oblivion and the world does not come to an end. I guess.
So I think the Indian government is trying to kind of ban cryptocurrencies, right? The RBI has prohibited people from purchasing or having cryptocurrency and so on. And I think India has very significant reserves of foreign currency, the euro and dollars as well, etc. So that could to some extent insulate India from a shock like that. And also India has gold reserves, significant gold reserves. So I think that's what the Indian government has done. Of course, I am not an economist. That is one thing that I don't really know very deeply, so I could not answer this in further detail in great depth. But I think the Indian government is doing what we can. I think we have one of the highest reserves of foreign currencies in any economy in the world. So I think we are doing what we can. Maybe in the future we can do something more than that. We'll have to see about that.
Well, thank you, sir. It was really nice meeting you. I guess everybody else will follow in a footsteps as well. Thanks
Nice
a lot.
meeting you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
All right. All right. Who next? Let us call Shubham has been waiting patiently. Hi, Shubham.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Where are you from?
Uh, I live in Youngstown, Ohio, but I'm from Nepal.
Fantastic. Oh, you're a Nepalese brother of ours. How nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Please tell me, what's your question?
Sir, can you explain a little about Bose and Fermi particles?
Okay, so there are two kinds of statistics in physics: Bose-Einstein statistics and Fermi-Dirac statistics. In Bose statistics, all the particles can occupy the same quantum state. In Fermi-Dirac statistics, you have a different kind of behavior of the particles. So the bosons are the particles that don't jostle for space. They all can occupy the same quantum state, and that's why their properties are different, very different from the fermions. So bosons. So the particles that obey the Bose statistics or Bose-Einstein statistics are called bosons. These are the force carriers. These are the mediator particles, such as the gluons and the photons, etc. So these are the force carriers. The gluons carry are the mediators, the force carriers of the strong nuclear force. The photon is obviously the force carrier of the electromagnetic force, and the hypothetical graviton is the force carrier of the gravitational force. Now, when it comes to fermions, that's a very different kind of particle uh, species, so to say. Yeah. So the particles that constitute matter, these are the fermions. So these are the ones that obey the Fermi-Dirac statistics and the Pauli exclusion principles. So that is a little bit in short about bosons, fermions, and those two kinds of statistics.
Sir, one more question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so why don't we study proof-based mathematics? Why are we more into problem solving in our school and high school?
That's a good question. So, if you are into pure mathematics, then you would go into proof-based mathematics, very conceptual, fundamental mathematics. But when you are learning mathematics at the school level, you need to first start with the building blocks, which are the numbers, ones and twos and threes. So you need to add them, subtract them, divide them, multiply them. So that's how you build up your intuition for mathematics. And only after you master arithmetic, addition, subtraction, all that, and maybe some algebra, trigonometry, geometry, and so on, that's when, after a few years, after a certain number of years, you have the requisite amount of mathematical intuition to dive deeper into mathematics. And that's where you go into fundamental proof based mathematics, which is quite abstract actually. If a layperson were to see it, it will not even look like mathematics. It looks like Greek and all that, so it's something that's very deep and abstract. It takes time to reach that level of thought and abstraction. So that's why at the school level, etc., you just learn arithmetic and the basics. That's why it's that
Thank
way.
you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Bye. Okay, Shaurya Gupta. Hello.
Hello, sir. Sadai Chayan Spash.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Where are you from, sir?
Sir, I am from Jamshedpur, Jharkhand.
Very nice to
Uh,
meet you. Very nice to meet you. What's your
yes,
question?
sir. So, sir, my question is that is there any scientific theory that aligns with our Vedic Yuga system, like Satyug, Kali Yuga? Like, is there any scientific theory that aligns with it?
So, unfortunately, there is no scientific theory that I know of that is commensurate with what we call the yuga system, etc. We don't even know how long a yuga is supposed to be. There are multiple researchers who have made
Hmm.
multiple claims. Some people believe that one yuga is like 100 million years or god knows what. People have all kinds of beliefs. It does not match with what we know of reality, because we know that the human species, homo sapiens, is approximately 2 million years old. And if a yuga is 70 million years old, or whatever some people claim it is, then how do you I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? Because homo sapiens, not even homo sapiens, I think homo sapiens is just a quarter of a million years old. So there is this significant mismatch, right? So there is nothing in modern science that bears out the yuga system. I am not by any means saying that the yuga system is wrong or something. What I am saying is that present day researchers have not been able to figure out what the yuga system actually exactly is. Maybe some of them have figured it out, but there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of conflict. Some people say it's this much time, one yuga, some people say it's not something else. So as of now, there is no consensus, and there is not enough that we know about to conclusively say what a yuga is like,
Okay, sir.
right? Any other question?
Yes, sir. In once you said in your stream that if Indian army wants, then it can conquer Kabul in one day. Like once you said this, but then why weren't Russia and USA successful in their attempts?
Shia, who's Shia?
No, Russia,
Russia.
USSR.
See, it's like this: the Russians were overextended when it came to Afghanistan. The heartland of Russia is many thousands of kilometers away from Afghanistan. Even the Central
But
Asian republics
then
that were
they
part
were
of the,
all united. Nah, that
I
USSR
am
was
coming to that.
united then.
Yes, the Central Asian republics were at that time part of the USSR, but the heartland of the USSR was in the west, near Moscow, and and the territory is so large that it is very difficult to sustain a large contingent of soldiers or a proper army, and provide them all the supplies uh, such as weaponry and ammunition and food and all that. So, an army doesn't succeed because it has a great deal of josh and all that. An army succeeds only when there is the sufficient amount of logistics and all that. And that's why they were overextended, and also because they were not familiar with the terrain in Afghanistan, and also because the Americans were arming the Afghan mujahideen
Hmm.
with a great, they were pushing in a great amount of arms and ammunition, money, etc. So that's the reason why Pakistan. So that is the reason why Russia could not succeed. The Americans also have kind of failed, and they have left Afghanistan, but it was done on purpose. The Americans could have wiped out the Taliban in a month's time if they wanted to. They chose not to. They knew that the Taliban were given shelter in Pakistan, in the tribal areas, etc., and so on. We know what the Pakistanis were doing. They were sheltering Osama as well. And the Americans allowed this to happen. They killed Osama, but the Taliban was allowed to survive in Pakistan, and gradually it made its way back into Afghanistan. So it was all done most likely deliberately. Now, when it comes to India, we have the armed forces, and we have the strength of the armed forces. It's sufficient to wipe out the Taliban in a few days, in a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two at most. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, sir, sir. So one thing, I do you have any idea like in which language did people normally converse in the Ramayana and Mahabharata? Yeah,
Sanskrit. That's
me
it.
means talking also,
Yes,
normal
absolutely.
talking.
Originally, India's common language was Sanskrit.
And when did
It
it
was one of
started
the
changing?
language
Like
between.
in the Chandragupta Maurya, say, which language then?
At that time, it was a variety of Prakrit languages, which are Apabhrancha languages, and the language I think which was prevalent in the Magadha region was Pali, I believe. So these are languages that came much later. The original language of India was Vedic or pre-Vedic Sanskrit. Then it became Vedic Sanskrit. Eventually, it became classical Sanskrit during the Paninian era, and later you had a variety of other languages that emerged. And I am sure there were other languages also during the Sanskrit era
And
as
when
well.
did Hindi came being prevalent?
Much later. Like it's a very recent language. Maybe in the
It's
past 500 or 1000
like
years
we
at
are
most.
taught in our school books that Sanskrit was only limited to the Brahman caste.
That is absolute utter nonsense. All right.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Great meeting you, and my friends would be much joyous. Uh,
Awesome. Awesome. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you,
uh,
Shaurya. Thanks. Thanks. Bye bye.
bye, sir.
All right. Who else will come next? Who do we have? Okay. Yug. Let's bring in Yug. Hey, Yug. How are you doing?
Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. And I am seeing that
Nice to
many
meet you.
young people are joining your podcast. That's great.
It's
So,
awesome. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, yes, sir. Actually, I had question that Jain Munis they always give lots of pravachan. In that, I had one time I listened it, and they said that there was genocide of Jain people in Tamil Nadu by Shaivites. You say Hinduism very liberal religion, but on the other hand, it's ironical that Shaivite genocide of Jain people.
So I have never heard of any such. I have never seen evidence of such a thing. I have never heard a claim like that. That the Jainas were genocided by the Shaivites. I would like to
Sir,
see who has
I
made this
actually
claim.
searched. Actually, I had searched in my internet, so I got it in Wikipedia and that stuff. So, and also I
So,
want to ask. So, sir,
go ahead. Go
plus
ahead.
you can speak.
So my question is, how many people were killed? When did this happen? According to this claim.
Means they actually I don't know. Means I had saw in YouTube, so I don't know. But it was said that after 250 BC, and it was written in something in Tamil literature. They had said that, and it was written by Tamil literature. They say that.
Well, I am not aware of any genocide that happened in pre-invasion, pre-Turkic invasion India. Maybe, see, people have gone to war, kingdoms have fought each other. There has been violence, which is a inherent part of the human nature, but there has never been any large scale religious persecution of anybody in the country. There is no evidence to support that. If one or two texts have been invented to do that, I mean, come on, where is the supporting evidence? And so there is, as far as I understand from whatever I have read and learned, I have never come across any evidence of any genocide. You know what's the meaning of genocide? It's like lakhs of people dying.
Yes.
If there is a war, a battle, and 200 die, you cannot call it a genocide. Come on, it's one event. So my point to you is that I have never come across any such claim or any such evidence. But I will certainly, since you are telling me right now, I will try and look it up, and I'll try to search for any persecution of Jains in Tamil Nadu. You
Yes.
think, right? Tamil Nadu?
Yes, Madras near that hill was there. No? Yes, sir. Also, one more last question I want to say. And also, he also said that the Shirdi Sai Baba was actually from Afghanistan, a Pindari, and he came to propagate Islam and to convert people. He
No, I
also
have
said,
absolutely no. I have so my answer to you is that I have never studied the. I mean, I have never been interested in this person, Mr. Sai Baba. So I don't know anything about him, unfortunately. So unfortunately, I cannot answer this particular question. Sorry.
yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you. Nice meeting you. Thank you so much for your questions.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Okay. Who next? Who is next? Let's bring Abhinav. Hi, Abhinav. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here. I want to ask,
Sure.
like, how did life came from non-living substance? How did replicating system form from non-replicating system? That this scientists call abiogenesis. I want to learn on that.
So we don't quite know how this happened. We know that at some point in our very ancient history, in the primordial early earth, life emerged out of something. We know that we had these interesting mixes of chemicals on our planet. We had so we had very different conditions at that time. The earth was almost a hellish place. It was very hot, and the atmosphere was very different. It was full of other gases, maybe mostly carbon dioxide. There was almost no oxygen at the time, and there was a lot of lightning. There was a lot of bombardment by meteors and all that, meteorites and so on. The Hadean period, they call it. So what people have done, what biochemists have done, is that they've tried to replicate those conditions in a test tube in a laboratory, with those mixes of gases and lightning kind of thing and all that, with the electrical sparks and all that. So they found that it does give rise to complex chemistry, amino acids and all that, complex carbon compounds. But they have never been able to actually create a living cell or living organism out of it. So it is still a very big mystery how life emerged on earth. Where did the DNA come from? DNA is a very complex molecule, so where did it come from? Where did RNA come from? Where did the and so on, so forth. So it is still not known. No scientist has been able to definitively, conclusively explain how did life emerge out of non-living substances. There is even a theory called panspermia, which says that life came from outer space. It hitched a ride on some meteor or comet, and it crashed into the onto our planet, and that's how the our planet was seeded with the beginnings of life. Maybe DNA came from outside, or maybe some organisms were present on some of these asteroids or comets that impacted the earth. So there's a number of hypotheses, but none of these has been proven thus far. So that's what I can answer you, that to the best of our knowledge, we still don't know how life emerged out of non-living substances.
Sir, also on biohacks like cloning and baby designing, do you think it is happening in the shadows and we don't know about it?
It is certainly something that people must be researching. We know the Chinese have been doing a significant amount of research in cloning and gene drives and all that, virology, viruses, and so on. They have cloned monkeys, they have cloned other animals. Maybe they may even be doing it with human beings. We don't know. And other countries may also be doing it, but obviously they will not talk about it, because this is very first of all, it's cutting edge research. It can lead to very significant advances, not only in biology but in bio, as in the case of bioweapons as well. And secondly, maybe many of these experiments may not be very much ethical, so nobody will talk about it. But I am sure many countries are doing it. I'm sure the Chinese are definitely doing it. I'm sure the Americans too, even if they don't speak about it, must be doing it, and other countries possibly as well.
So,
Right.
sir, my last question is that you are a professional astrophysicist and a quantum physicist. So, can you give a roadmap for people like me who are inspired for me and want to pursue that as a career?
Well, that's a very long career path. You have to undergo a progression of studies. You have to first become strong in mathematics. You need to have the fundamentals, the basics of physics, right? The very basics from the Halliday Resnick kind of books. Then you have to study electrodynamics and uh, advanced mechanics, then move on to quantum mechanics, quantum electrodynamics, and so on. It's a very long path. I have a video on this channel in which I have given a number of book recommendations for learning advanced physics. So maybe you can refer to that. But I mean, to answer that in detail would take at least half an hour. So you could refer to that video, the book recommendations video, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for providing this interaction with us and
Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you. Thank you so much. Bye.
yes, sir, very much.
Okay, who next? Whom shall I call? Gautam has been waiting very patiently. Hi, Gautam.
Hello, sir. I
Nice to
want
meet
to
you.
ask you a question. Nice to meet you, sir. I want to ask you a question about origin of Andhras,
The origin
Andhra
of?
people, Andhra people. That
So I am. Yeah, please go ahead. Please finish your question. Yeah.
it said that Telugu came from Andhra people, Andhra tribe. So I want to ask you how that origin of Andhra people. Andhra
So,
tribe.
okay, yeah, I get your question, right? What is the origin of the people of Andhra Pradesh, the people of Andhra, right?
Yeah.
So, that is something I haven't studied in much detail, unfortunately. Uh, we know that during the ancient times there was a mention of a clan or a tribe or a community of people called the Andhras. Now, that has been that name has been given to this state called Andhra Pradesh today, which is now Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. But what is the origin? I mean, we know that all the people of India, if we go back sufficiently back in time, then we all have a common origin. But what is the actual origin of, let's say, the Andhra linguistic group, the Telugu speaking people, for instance? That is something that I think no historian or linguist has still been able to answer. So that is something that should be a topic of active research among historians and linguists, but it is not. It is not. So nobody will be able to give you a definitive answer, neither historians nor linguists, as to what is the origin of this language, Telugu, and of this linguistic group, the people who are now part of the state of Andhra Pradesh. So it is something that needs to be researched. There are so many such topics. What is the origin of the Kannada people? That also nobody is going to be able to answer. The Tamils have their own origin stories about Kumari Kandam and all, but that also again has not been proven. We have never found that lost continent that they speak about, and so on. So the best answer I can give you is that we Indians are the original inhabitants of the Indian subcontinent. Our ancestors populated, the first came into the Indian subcontinent about 70,000 or so years ago, the out of Africa migration, and we are the descendants of that very ancient population. So that is what we know. But the genesis, the origin of these specific linguistic groups and all, that is something that has not been researched, unfortunately. So I'm sorry, I am not able to answer that question well, conclusively, definitively.
Sir, my last question is: you said that there was Indian philosophies of Jaina Dharma, Buddha Dharma, and Charvaka. So, what are we following now? All Hindus.
We are following secularism, sir. We don't even know what Hinduism is, what Dharma is. We don't follow any traditions. We don't follow any rituals. I don't know what we are following anymore. India today is officially a secular country. It is a very Hindu phobic country. Hindus are almost like second class citizens. So we are not following any of those philosophies. The Jaina people will follow some of their traditions, which is part of Dharma. The Bodha people will follow some of the Bodha traditions. I think in countries like Thailand, etc., Thailand and parts of Cambodia, parts of Indonesia, there is more respect for Indian traditions and culture than we have in India itself. So today, India is a confused country. We have lost our connection with our roots, and that is all thanks to this fake philosophy or ideology of secularism that has been forcibly imposed upon the Indian population. So I hope that eventually these things change.
Uh, Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your question. Nice meeting you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Naman. Let's bring in Naman. Hi, Naman.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Namaste. Where are you from?
So I'm from Rajasthan.
Rajasthan. All right. What's your question,
Yes.
sir?
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि सर मंदिर में पहले आपने कही थी एक इंटरव्यू में कि पढ़ाया जाता था मंदिर में, लाइब्रेरीज होती थी, और सर अभी पाया गया कि राजस्थान में एक मंदिर है जहाँ पर 9 लाख किताबें पाई गई पुरानी, और जहाँ पे 4,000 लोगों की बैठने की कैपेसिटी है, और सर हमारी अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस है, हमारे कल्चर है, ट्रेडिशन है, कपड़े जो हम पहनते हैं, सर अभी हम हिंदी में 5 मिनट बात नहीं कर सकते बिना इंग्लिश बोले, इंग्लिश वर्ड्स को यूज करें। तो सर ये चेंज कहाँ से आया? सर पहले एलजीबीटी कम्युनिटी इंडिया में फ्री थी, फिर ब्रिटिशर्स ने बैन कर दी, और सर जेंडर और रेस में सर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन बढ़ गया। सर हमें कृष्ण भगवान को सर वाइट दिखाया जाता है जबकि वो ब्लैक है। तो सर ये सब चेंजेस कहाँ से आए?
गुड क्वेश्चन। तो मैं आपके प्रश्न का जवाब उत्तर हिंदी में ही दूंगा। तो ये सब मेंटल कॉलोनाइजेशन है। ये सब शुरू कब हुआ? ये एक्चुअली एक लंबा प्रोसेस है जो अप्रोक्सीमेटली 1000 वर्ष से चल रहा है। जब ये टर्किक इन्वेजन शुरू हुआ तब से हमारा कल्चर धीरे धीरे रिस्ट्रिक्ट होने लगा, चेंज होने लगा, क्योंकि हमें बहुत डिफेंसिव हो जाना पड़ा एंड सो ऑन। लेकिन ये जो आप बात कर रहे हैं कि ये जो व्हाइट स्किन का जो ये है, कृष्णा जो डार्क स्किन के है उनको व्हाइट स्किन का दिखाया जाता है, एलजीबीटी लोगों के ऊपर बहुत सारे अत्याचार हुए, आफ्टर एंड सो ऑन। इसका ओरिजिन है यूरोपियन कॉलोनाइजेशन ऑफ इंडिया। इन्होंने जब अपने रूल्स, अपने नियम भारत के ऊपर इम्पोज किए, तो ये बहुत मिसोजिनिस्टिक कम्युनिटी है। यूरोपियंस, यूरोप बहुत ही मिसोजिनिस्टिक कल्चर रहा है पिछले 1000 वर्ष से ज़्यादा से। और उन्होंने अपने जो उनके जो रूल्स है वो हमारे ऊपर इम्पोज किए। उन्होंने अपना फॉरेन एजुकेशन सिस्टम, मकाउलन एजुकेशन सिस्टम भारत के ऊपर इम्पोज किया। इसकी वजह से हम आज इंग्लिश इतना बोलते हैं। और आज ऐसा है कि हमारे देश में अगर हम अच्छा इंग्लिश नहीं बोलेंगे तो हमें जॉब भी नहीं मिलेगा। सारे जॉब
यस
इंटरव्यूज इंग्लिश में होते हैं। आप अगर कोर्ट जाएंगे तो आपके जो मिलॉर्ड, सब जो मिलॉर्ड्स है वो आपसे इंग्लिश में ही बात करेंगे। अगर आप इंग्लिश नहीं बोलेंगे तो आपको भगा देंगे वो लोग। इसको बोलते हैं मेंटल कॉलोनाइजेशन। तो इसका जो रूट है वो इंग्लिश, जो ये जो ब्रिटिश कॉलोनाइजेशन है, ये इन सब चीजों का रूट है। और ये जो कल्चरल चेंज हुआ ये पिछले 150 वर्षों, अबाउट आई थिंक 18th सेंचुरी के फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में शुरू हुआ था। तो इन्होंने अपना सिस्टम इम्पोज किया भारत के ऊपर। इन्होंने सारे टेम्पल्स में जो एजुकेशन होता था, जैसे आप बता रहे थे, ये
यस
सब
सर
बंद कर दिया उन्होंने। और उन्होंने कहा कि आपको अगर गवर्नमेंट जॉब चाहिए तो आपको इंग्लिश ब्रिटिश एजुकेशन सिस्टम के थ्रू ही आना पड़ेगा, और आपको ब्रिटिश, आई मीन आपको
तो सर ये
इंग्लिश में
वापस कैसे
पढ़ाई
आ
करनी
सकता
चाहिए।
है? इसका सर वापस राइज कैसे हो सकता है, या ये हो ही नहीं सकता?
नहीं, हो सकता है, बिल्कुल हो सकता है। अभी देखिए, आप इजराइल की बात करते हैं तो इजराइल के जो लोग हैं वो अलग अलग देशों में बहुत सदियों से रह रहे थे। कुछ लोग जर्मन बोलते थे, कुछ लोग कहीं और की भाषा बोलते थे। अब ये जो उनका वापस अपना जो राष्ट्र मिला इजराइल, ये सब वापस वहां पर आए बहुत सदियों के बाद, तो सब अलग अलग भाषा बोलते थे। तो उन्होंने क्या किया कि उन्होंने उनकी जो पुरानी भाषा थी हिब्रू, उसको रिवाइव
हिब्रू,
किया।
यस
और ये 10-20 वर्ष में पूरी रिवाइव हो गई भाषा। तो हम भी ऐसा कर सकते हैं अगर गवर्नमेंट में इतना जो विल है, अगर गवर्नमेंट
यस
चाहे तो ये सब हो सकता है भारत में 10-20 वर्ष में, मे बी 50 वर्ष में। लेकिन डेफिनेटली हम अपनी भाषा, संस्कृत या हिंदी या आप जो भी आप चाहे, हम
यस
उसको
सर
रिवाइव कर सकते हैं। मेन चीज है कि इंग्लिश को हटाओ और रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस, लोकल लैंग्वेजेस को वापस प्रोत्साहन दीजिए।
यस
सो इट कैन ऑल कम बैक। वी विल रिस्टोर अवर सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट एंड डिग्निटी अगर हम ये करेंगे तो। राइट,
सर कुछ क्वेश्चन और था सर।
बोलिए।
सर 2014 से सर जो हो रहा है देश में सर, डिमोनेटाइजेशन आया, सीएए, जीएसटी, किसान आंदोलन, तो सर क्या सही है, क्या हो रहा है सर, ये सही है या गलत है सर? कोई चैनल कुछ कहता है कि अपोजिट में जाता है कि ये गलत हो रहा है, आंदोलन हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, सरकार कुछ कर नहीं रही। कोई चैनल कहता है कि सर ये बहुत सही है, ये बिल बहुत अच्छे है, डिमोनेटाइजेशन से फायदा हुआ है। तो सर ये सही है या गलत है सर? कुछ ब्रीफ में बताओ सर।
अ, मेरे अनुमान से अगर
यस
हम
सर
1947 के बाद जितनी भी गवर्नमेंट्स हुई है उसको देखेंगे, तो मेरे एनालिसिस में ये सबसे अच्छी गवर्नमेंट रही है। और ये बहुत सारी चीजें चेंज कर रहे हैं, इसके लिए इतना सारा पुशबैक उनको फेस करना पड़ रहा है।
सर,
अभी
बट
अभी
पब्लिक
भारत में
रेडी नहीं है, तो सर सही कैसे हो सकता है सर? सर काफी चीजें
पब्लिक
जिसमें सर पब्लिक
क्या
को
रेडी नहीं
सही नहीं
बताइए,
लगा। सर जैसे
क्या
सर
क्या
किसान
सीन लगा, बोले
आंदोलन
ना।
में, जैसे सर
अच्छा,
किसान
आप
आंदोलन में सर लोग सर अपोजिशन पे है उसके सर, काफी लोग, काफी किसान मरे हैं सर। और सर मीडिया को सर पूरा चेंज करा गया सर। लोग यही कहते हैं सर, काफी यूट्यूब चैनल है सर, मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा सर, वो यही कहते हैं कि सर
नहीं,
मीडिया बिका हुआ है सर। काफी चैनल है सर वो
मीडिया मीडिया
अपोजिशन में
बिल्कुल
जाते
बिका हुआ है। मीडिया बिकी बिकी हुई ही है। एक एक सेक्शन इस तरफ है, एक सेक्शन उस तरफ
हैं।
है, और सब
यस
अपना
सर।
अपना एजेंडा परस्यू करते हैं।
तो सर आपको क्या लगता
मैं
है
क्या
कि
कहता
ये रूल, ये बिल आने चाहिए सर? और ये डिमोनेटाइजेशन से सर जो लोअर, जो क्लास पीपल थे उनको नुकसान हुआ सर बहुत, और काफी चीजों से नुकसान हुआ है सर। जैसे सर अब बहुत कुछ है सर, बोलना नहीं चाहूंगा सर, काफी चीजें हुई है सर 2014 से।
ठीक है, ठीक है।
तो
सो
सर
लेट्स टेक द क्वेश्चन। तो आप एक एक मुद्दा लेते हैं। फॉर इंस्टेंस, आप किसानों की बात कर रहे हैं, तो
यस सर।
ये इस मुद्दे को लेकर हम थोड़ा डिस्कस करेंगे।
यस सर।
तो हमें इस चीज को एनालाइज कैसे करना है कि ये सही है या गलत है, राइट?
यस
अभी हम एक एक अप्रोच हमारा ये हो सकता है कि हम अलग अलग यूट्यूबर्स का ओपिनियन देखें,
यस
अलग
सर।
अलग न्यूज मीडिया का ओपिनियन देखें। और दूसरा अप्रोच है कि क्या लॉ चेंज हुआ है उसको हम एनालाइज करें। तो क्या होता था पहले कि किसानों को अगर कुछ भी सेल करना हो, कुछ भी बेचना हो, तो उनको
यस
ये
सर।
गवर्नमेंट की मंडियों में बेचना पड़ता था। और
मंडी में।
वहां पर क्या होता था कि ये जो गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिसर्स है वो डिसाइड करते थे कि आप किस प्राइस पे बेचोगे। तो आप अगर किसान है तो आप डिसाइड नहीं कर सकते कि मैं ये मेरा जो ये 1 किलो जो भी है, फॉर इंस्टेंस प्याज है, उसको मैं किस दाम में बेचूंगा, मैं डिसाइड नहीं कर सकता। गवर्नमेंट का ऑफिसर मुझे बोलेगा कि मुझे किस दाम पे वो बेचना है। अभी ये जो गवर्नमेंट ने जो चेंज किया है उसमें क्या हो गया कि जो मिडिल मैन है, ये जो सब्जी मंडी एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स, उनको हटा दिया, और अब किसान कहीं पर भी अपना सामान बेच सकते हैं किसी किसी भी रेट पर। तो ये किसान के लिए अच्छा है या बुरा है, मुझे आप समझाइए, आप खुद समझाइए। अभी
सर किसान तो
किसान
सर
को
ये
और
कहते हैं
ऑप्शन
कि
मिले।
हमें स्टार्टिंग में बहुत फायदा होगा इससे, पर आगे जाके सर ये जितना कंपनी कहेगी सर उसी हिसाब से करना पड़ेगा, सर उनको ये लगता है। और सर ये मतलब सर ठीक है सर, सही हो या गलत मेरे को इतना नॉलेज नहीं है सर, बट सर अब किसान नहीं चाहते ये रूल, और सर उनपे गलत तरीके से सर उनको रोका जा रहा है सर, क्या ये सही है या गलत है सर? और सर बिल
अच्छा
जैसे
अच्छा,
पास हुआ है सर वो तो डेफिनेटली गलत है सर, बिल जैसे सर
कैसे
उन्होंने
पास हुआ,
पास करा था।
कैसे किया?
सर उन्होंने सर मेजोरिटी में बिना डिस्कशन करे अपोजिशन पार्टी से बिल पास किया था सर।
मेजोरिटी आपके पास नंबर से तो डिस्कशन हो या नहीं हो, बिल पास ही होने वाला है।
तो सर
अब
ऐसे तो बीजेपी
15
कोई
घंटे
सा
की
भी बिल
बहस
लाएगी
करने के
तो
बाद
सर,
पास करें।
सर पर ऐसे तो बीजेपी
ठीक है,
कोई सा भी बिल लाएगी तो सर वो तो पास ही हो जाएगा सर, वो तो मेजोरिटी में है सर।
तो
पर सर
इसी को कहते
डिस्कशन
हैं ना
तो होना
डेमोक्रेसी,
चाहिए ना।
इसी को कहते हैं डेमोक्रेसी। नंबर्स, इट्स अ नंबर्स गेम, वेरी सिंपल।
सर
कितना
पर
भी डिस्कशन आप करो,
सर
समझे?
अपोजिशन डिस्कशन करेगी तो सर बिल रुकेगा सर, पर ये विदाउट डिस्कशन सर उन्होंने हाँ करवा ली सर बिल के लिए।
देखिए, भारत की जनता ने अगर एक
यस सर।
पार्टी को नंबर्स दिए हैं ना,
यस
तो
सर।
वो जो पार्टी चाहती है वो भारत की जनता का विल है।
यस सर।
दैट इज हाउ डेमोक्रेसी वर्क्स। अब
यस सर।
अपोजिशन के 50 लोग ये 300 लोग के विरुद्ध खड़े हो जाएंगे,
यस
तो
सर।
दे कैनॉट बी अलाउड टू स्टॉप द पासिंग ऑफ द बिल। ये एक बात है। अब दूसरी बात, आप बोल रहे कि अगर ये जो जो किसान है वो नहीं चाहते, अरे भाई
यस सर,
कौन से
जब
किसान नहीं
पीपल
चाहते?
नहीं चाहते
कौन से किसान
सर,
नहीं
काफी
चाहते?
किसान
जो
मिले
मीडिया
सर।
के सामने आते हैं वो किसान।
नहीं सर, काफी किसान है सर, मैं खुद गया था सर, मैं देखे सर काफी मोर्चे चल रहे हैं सर, मैंने खुद
अच्छा,
ने देखे सर। यस सर।
देखिए बात क्या है ना कि जो मीडिया के सामने जो किसान लीडर आते हैं वो एक्चुअली असली किसान है या बहुत रिच लोग हैं? ये बहुत सारे इसमें निटिग्रिटीज है। ये
यस
पूरा
सर। हाँ।
मेरे हिसाब से मैं मेरा
यस।
पर्सपेक्टिव आपको बोल रहा हूँ।
यस सर।
वी कैन डिसएग्री, नो प्रॉब्लम, दैट इज फाइन। मेरा
यस सर।
पर्सपेक्टिव ये है कि मीडिया एक इंप्रेशन खड़ा करती है, और फिर सारे किसान जो है उनको लगता है कि हाँ ये सही बात है, और फिर सब सपोर्ट करने लगते हैं। ऐसा भी
यस।
होता है, ऐसा बहुत सालों से चलता आ रहा है। सो वी हैव
यस।
टू एनालाइज कि भाई एक्चुअल मुद्दा क्या है, एक्चुअल बिल क्या पास हुआ है, और आप बिल को पढ़िए और आप अब खुद से सोचिए कि इससे किसान का फायदा है या नुकसान है। अगर किसान को एक्स्ट्रा अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल रही तो उसमें नुकसान कहां से आ गया भैया? पहले आपके पास एक ही ऑप्शन था, अब गवर्नमेंट के पास बेचो और गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिसर आपको बोलेंगे किस प्राइस पे भेजना है। आज आपके पास अलग अलग ऑप्शन है।
यस।
तो हाउ इज इट अ बैड थिंग, ये मुझे समझता नहीं है। सो दैट इज माई पर्सपेक्टिव।
सर एक
ठीक है
क्वेश्चन
जी,
और था सर, सर एक क्वेश्चन और था सर, पूछ सकूं तो?
चलिए लास्ट बोलिए।
सर ये सर कंट्री कैसे फॉर्म होती है सर, डिवाइड कैसे होती है सर? एक कल्चर पे होती है, रिलीजियन पे होती है, या एक सिविलाइजेशन से होती है? और सर इंडिया कैसे डिवाइड हुआ सर वर्ल्ड से?
इंडिया ओरिजिनली एक सिविलाइजेशन था, आज सिर्फ एक
यस सर।
नेशन स्टेट है, वेस्टफैलियन नेशन स्टेट। जो वेस्ट इट ऑल ओरिजिनेटेड इन द ट्रीटी ऑफ वेस्टफालिया, कुछ कुछ 100 साल पहले, 300-400 साल पहले हुआ था। तो आज ये पूरा वेस्टर्न यूरोपियन सिस्टम है जो पूरे दुनिया पे इम्पोज हो गया है कि आप एक ज्योग्राफिकल रीजन बनाएंगे, उसके अंदर आप उसको गवर्नेंस करेंगे, और इसमें कल्चर को देखते नहीं है, कुछ देखते नहीं है। सो इट इज अ वेरी आर्टिफिशियल काइंड ऑफ थिंग, जो
यस।
एक्चुअली नेचुरल नहीं है। ये नेचुरल चीज नहीं है। भारत का एक्चुअल जो ज्योग्राफिकल एरिया है वो बहुत बड़ा है। आज हम
यस सर।
छोटे से एरिया में बैठे हुए हैं। तो
यस सर, बिल्कुल।
इट इज आर्टिफिशियली क्रिएटेड थिंग, और कुछ नहीं।
थैंक यू सर।
ठीक है नमन, थैंक यू सो मच,
यस
थैंक
सर।
यू, नाइस
हाँ,
टॉकिंग टू यू। प्लीज,
सेम हियर सर, बाय।
थैंक यू, बाय। चलिए, हु इज नेक्स्ट? लेट मी कॉल इन सुशांत। हाय सुशांत।
Good evening, sir. I have actually two questions. I
प्लीज गो अहेड,
posted it on live chat as well, but I think you didn't notice it. So my question to you
प्लीज
is
गो अहेड।
that
या,
in first Anglo Maratha War, Marathas won. So why didn't they completely destroy the British Empire at that time? I mean, at the end of third Anglo Maratha War, British completely destroyed the Maratha kingdom, right? So why didn't Marathas do the same in first time in Maratha war?
So now, if I give you the proper answer, then don't hate me for being anti-Maratha. I am not anti-Maratha. Okay, I mean, lots of
I
people keep telling me that you are anti-Maratha. You don't recognize the Marathas enough and all. Bhai, please don't do that. I am just telling you the
I
facts.
know. I had
No, no,
I mean some. I ignored that
I am
question.
telling the
So
future audience who will watch this later. Please
okay,
just
okay.
listen, just hear me out. Okay, so let
You
me
can
answer the
continue.
question. So now the thing is this: see, the Marathas did win, and they did not eliminate the enemy completely. That is a problem you see again and again and again in the past 1000 years of India's history. We have this unfortunate tendency of trying to show magnanimity to those who wish to destroy us. That is a pattern of behavior we see again and again. We have forgotten the principles of our great teacher Vishnugupta Chanakya. Vishnugupta Chanakya said, when the enemy is down, you have to finish that enemy off. Because we know that the enemy wishes to see us dead. So how can we let that person go? This is what Maharani Nayaki Devi ji did. She allowed that terrorist Ghori to go away. This is what Prithviraj Chauhan did. This is what so many did. Even the Marathas did. They allowed the British to stay alive, to survive. The Marathas even allowed the Mughals the at least a token measure of survival, because even after the Marathas had conquered the entire country, the Mughal emperor, at least in name, was still installed in Delhi. So this is
True.
something, a pattern that we see. I don't know why it is there, because our culture has produced people like Vishnu Gupta Chanakya who have given us the right lessons, but we have forgotten their teachings. So that is the reason why, because we have forgotten the teachings of our great teachers like Vishnu Gupta Chanakya. That's why we have allowed our enemies to survive and eventually thrive. Right?
So my next question to you is, if it's allowed.
Please go ahead. Please go. Yeah.
So I checked on Wikipedia a few days ago about calculus and the history of calculus. So according to Wikipedia, only one of those basic calculus laws is originally from India, and rest of them are like not from India. They are from some Arabic or some non-Indian philosophers have developed this uh, laws and all. So what is the truth? Is it just one law, or the original calculus was itself the idea of Indians?
The truth is that calculus was developed in India. Uh, it is a long line. Uh, it's not something that happened in one day or 1 week or 1 year. It happened over a very long period of time. There is a long cycle of development that leads up to the eventual discovery of calculus. So I think it was the Kerala School of Mathematics that was the discoverer of calculus. I forgot the name of the mathematician. Was it Neelakantha, or was it? I don't have it at the top of my head, but it was in Kerala that calculus was developed. At least minimum 100 years before Newton and Leibniz are supposed to have discovered calculus. And it is very strange that Newton and Leibniz, both of these individuals, one who was living in England, the other one who was living in, I think, Germany, I think, it is very strange that these two individuals discovered calculus independently of each other in the same year. How can that happen? What really happened was that you had these Jesuit priests who had come to India, and they sought Indian knowledge. They stole India's knowledge of mathematics, etc., astronomy, and many other things. They took it back to Europe. They translated the Sanskrit texts into their languages. And that's how, and there is actual evidence for these things, there is evidence for this, but it is not publicized. They will never publicize this. So it is these Jesuit missionaries, these Jesuit priests who came to India. They stole India's knowledge, they transmitted it back to Europe. Not back to Europe, they took it to Europe, and over there these so-called scientists discovered it, and now they are given the credit for discovering calculus. It is very strange that something as difficult as and as complex as differential and integral calculus was discovered independently by two people in Europe in the same year. I mean, it can never happen. That is nonsense. So it is
And
India that is the discoverer of
without the
calculus.
history of calculus.
Absolutely nonsense, right? Yeah. So I hope that
So
answers your question.
yes, and one final question. So, did Britishers and Sikh Empire of 19th century of Maharaja Ranjit Singh and all, did they anytime had a military conflict? And if yes, then who was the winner? At least first Anglo-Sikh War. Yeah.
I think the first Anglo-Sikh War was a Sikh military victory, if I am not mistaken. I have not studied in very great detail. There were two Anglo-Sikh wars. The first one, I think, was either a Sikh victory or a stalemate kind of situation, and the second one war was the second Anglo-Sikh war was in 1845 or 49 or thereabouts. I don't remember dates. I
Yes.
only remember the century. But the second one was a victory for the British. Okay, so after Maharaja Ranjit Singh died, I think in the 1830s, I think that's when the entire Sikh empire very quickly collapsed because there was no ruler who was of the caliber of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So eventually, that's why the Sikh Empire uh, lost to the British.
Thank you, sir.
Right? Thank you for your questions. Nice to meet you. Thanks. Bye bye. Okay, who shall we take next? Let me take. Karthik. Hi, Karthik.
Yes, Pranam, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Pranam,
actually, I
Pranam.
am
Nice to
not
meet
believing
you.
that I am live with you.
Well, here you are. You're live with me. What's
Sir,
your question, sir?
sir,
I am unable to hear you, Karthik. I'm very sorry. I think your internet connection isn't very good.
sir, am I now audible?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead. Ask your question.
Sir, just a second. Sir, I was asking, have you researched about that Kalpa Vigram you idol, which is
Not yet.
told
Not yet.
about that it is 26,000 uh, year old.
I have heard about it, but I have not
And
yet had the time to dig deeply into this matter. So unfortunately, I am still not properly aware of it.
sir, according to you, which was the greatest Indian empire till now?
I think the greatest Indian empires are the ones before, are the ones that are not written about. For instance, you had the Karkota Empire, the Karkota dynasty, Lalitaditya Muktapida, which nobody writes about. You had there are many dynasties and empires, even before the Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan Empire was certainly one of the largest and most powerful empires that we know of. It included most of present day India, plus Pakistan, plus Afghanistan, etc. So the Mauryan Empire was very great. But I think even before the Mauryan Empire, there must have been, I mean, which was the empire or the kingdom or whoever it was that built the entire Sapta Sindhu region, the so-called Harappan era of our civilization. It was so large, it was bigger than Mesopotamia and Egypt combined, and it was so advanced. I mean, the if you look at the town planning, the city planning, it is superior to modern Indian cities. The drainage systems were better than modern Indian cities. So whoever did that must have been incredibly sophisticated and advanced, and we don't even know as of today which empire, which dynasty, which ruler or rulers it was. So I think we don't know much about Indian history. We have lost a lot of information, but from the ones that we know of, I think Kanishka was one of the greatest. The Kushan Empire, also the Mauryan Empire. So I would give these two names to answer your question. Right? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
And
Once again, okay, I'm unable to hear Karthik, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry, it's gone. Okay, let's take some other questions. Soumyadeep, Soumyadeep, hi.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, yes. How are you doing?
So I'm great, sir. I have been listening to you from from the time you released your Mongolian Genghis Khan video.
So nice of you. Thank you so much. So
So
nice
my
to meet
question
you.
was, thank you, sir. So my question is, what is an admixture, and what does David Icke mean when he says ancient skeletons of Indians did not have steppe admixture, and modern day North Indians have steppe admixture?
An admixture is a combination of two different kinds of lineages, genetic lineages. So, for instance, if a person has uh, European ancestry as well as African ancestry, then you will find an admixture of different genetic lineages in the genetics of that individual. So that's what an admixture is. Now, people, I mean, these geneticists, they say that Indians, that the Harappans did not have steppe ancestry, but modern Indians do have it. I mean, how many Harappan genomes have we analyzed? We have thus far been able to successfully analyze the DNA of only one individual from the Harappan era. They have been able to extract the DNA from only one skeleton. So, on the basis of one skeleton, how can you claim to have understood the entire genetics of the Harappan era? That is ridiculous. And secondly, when they claim that the modern Indians have steppe ancestry, they are referring to the Yamnaya ancestry, the Yamnaya invaders of Europe. Now, we know that the Yamnaya had a certain patrilineal genetic lineage called R1b. R1b is the descendant lineage of the Indian origin R1 and R lineages, which tells you that even the Yamnaya, the so-called steppe people, were descendants of Indians. They originated in India. And now, if you give them the title of steppe ancestry, that it kind of misleads people, because even the steppe ancestry has Indian ancestry, but they will not mention that. So that is the kind of misinformation game that is being played. But if you look at the facial reconstructions of the Yamnaya people, they look like Indians. We know they had dark hair, they had light brown skin, they had brown eyes. They looked exactly like Indians. So even the steppe ancestry is actually ancient Indian ancestry. So that, I hope, answers your question.
So my second
Does
question
it?
was, yes, sir.
Okay.
So my second question is Brahmin a Varna or a Jati? Because if you look at ancient kings like Pushyamitra Shunga and to take the Peshwas, they identify themselves as Brahmins, but their karma is Kshatriya.
So you know what? This is not a jati; it is a varna. A varna is something that comes from what activity or occupation you have in your life. So it doesn't matter where you are born, whatever your aptitude is. I mean, let's say you were born in a so-called Shudra family, but you are very strong, you're very active, you're great at fighting, so you can become a Kshatriya if you enroll in the army and do well. Or even if you are born in a Kshatriya so-called family, but if you are a scholarly person and you read and study things and you are an intellectual, etc., then you should be classified as a Brahmin. So these are varnas; these are not jatis. Jatis are lineages. These jatis are ancestral lineages. Varnas are simply occupations. So that's a different. So those are two different things. So, like you said, Pushyamitra Sunga was born in a certain varna, but he was a Kshatriya because he was a soldier and he became a king. So that's how it went. It's a very ancient and very complex system, and we have oversimplified it for the sake of political gains today. That's what's happened. So I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my final question. Today we see we just have got in, saw in news that India might face electricity shortage because coal storages are coal reserves of less in India. So how could we have avoided this problem?
I think we have sufficient coal reserves in the country. We have lots of mines and all. I personally haven't seen this news, but I'm sure what you're saying is right. There may be some possibility. Well, what we have to ensure is that we have to ensure that there is sufficient supply of coal, either from our own mines or through the various imports that we can arrange. So I am sure the government must have foreseen this, and I hope that they have the uh, adequate measures and contingency plans in place to ensure that there is no such problem. That's what I can say. right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your questions. Thanks, bye.
Please do this more often. Please do this
Certainly,
more
certainly.
often. Yes.
Right. Thank you, bye bye. Okay, who else do we have? We have lots of people waiting in the wings. Rahul ji, hi.
Hello, sir. Thank you
Hi,
very much for having me on the show, and also I'm
my
very
pleasure.
happy. Very happy to see you live, and I've been following you from past 1 month. I've actually watched a lot of videos of yours, and I'm very thankful that you're you're there for us to learn so many things. And I'm happy that these kids are actually coming up and asking all these questions with to you, and also you're like giving us the great answers, and which is like very logical. So I had two questions. I've jotted it down just 1 second. So yeah, could you
Sure.
please talk about the multiverse and the research around it?
So the multiverse is not a theory; it's a hypothesis. So there are two, at least two sources of the origin of this hypothesis. One is from the string theory landscape. So in string theory, there is a possibility of 10 raised to 500 or so different universes. So that is one of the uh, reasons why why physicists consider this theory or this hypothesis of there being a multiverse. And the other is quantum mechanics itself, where the many worlds hypothesis, the Everettian hypothesis, in which every decision that you take, every action that you take, when you have a choice of doing this or that, if you make one choice, then the universe splits off into two. But I'm just giving you a very simplified version. But let's say you flip a coin, you get a head. Then the universe splits off into two branches, and there is a parallel universe that's created in which you have got a tail, and so on. So that's from the multiple worlds hypothesis, or interpretation of quantum mechanics that is due to Everett. So that's what the multiverse is. It's a hypothesis which says that there are multiple universes. Our universe is just one of many universes out there. The problem with this is that there is no way to either prove it or to falsify it, because we are stuck on this planet. We can look into the universe through various means, through telescopes, etc., but we can only see a certain portion of the universe, the visible universe. The actual universe may be much much larger than that, and we cannot by any means look beyond the confines of our universe. Is there another universe out there? How do we know? Because we have no way of testing it out. And therefore this may be possible, this may be a possibility. One cannot discount it, but it is something that is not falsifiable. A scientific theory has to be falsifiable. If it is not falsifiable, then there's no point even talking about it. So it's nice for science fiction movies and these superhero movies and all that. It's very nice, but it is not something that is a field of active research, is serious active research, unless you're talking about the multiple the Everettian interpretation of quantum mechanics, which is something that is taken a little bit more seriously.
Okay, so I just had one question on that because there's a concept called expanding universe, right? Because of the Big Bang and the universe is continuously expanding. So I just had this question. I had it from my college days, and nobody could answer. I just asking you I just want to
Yeah.
know in case if the universe is actually expanding, what is it expanding into? Because it needs to have some kind of a space, right? And if there is only one universe, it cannot expand. I mean, that was my question. How can it expand?
Right. So this goes at the very heart of the standard model of physics, the Big Bang theory, the so-called Big Bang theory. So the Big Bang theory is a chronology of the universe. It is a history of the universe. What happened at the very beginning, then what was the universe like in the very early era, how did the universe evolve, and so on and so forth. How did structure formation happen, galaxies formation, how did nuclear fusion start, etc., and so on. So it is a chronology, a history of the universe, but it is not yet able to explain why certain things happened. What caused the Big Bang? What was there before the Big Bang? Was there something else before? What is time? There are so many questions that our best theory is still not able to answer. So, is there something that the universe is expanding into? We have no way of answering. What we know is that space time itself is expanding. So when the universe began, it was concentrated into a very small point. That's the best we know. It was either a singularity, which is a point of infinite density, or it was something very close to a singularity, and then something made the universe expand. It is hypothesized to be a certain field. It's called the inflaton field, and so on. So that's a different thing, but something caused the universe to expand, and it is not the universe expanding into something, it is space time itself expanding. So even as we speak right now, space time is expanding all the time. New space time is being created out of somewhere. What is footing the bill, the energy bill of this, we still don't know. Maybe it is something called dark energy, which we know exists, and so on. So there are many things that we still don't know. Our best theory, the standard model and the Big Bang theory, still can't answer lots of questions. So that is the best answer I can give you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I have one last question.
Okay.
There have been like IITs and IIMs for many years. So, what exactly the research they are doing, and how is it helping India?
That is the 100 crore rupee question, isn't it? What research are these people doing and how is it helping India? Well, the IITs, unfortunately, so here's the truth about the IITs, okay? They will not like me saying this. If you go to, let's say you go to a specific IIT, whatever, I'm not taking any names. You go to the IIT, you will find that there is wonderful infrastructure there. You go to the auditorium, the conference room, beautiful place, the best projectors, the best equipment. You go to the washroom, it's a $1 million washroom, all the beautiful glass and beautiful tiles and all that. But if you go to the lab, you will find equipment that is 20 to 30 years old. Now, when you have outdated, obsolete equipment, how are you supposed to do cutting edge research? So, the answer to your question is that the people who run the IITs, these administrators, these bureaucrats, who are not scientists, they have the funds, but they are investing the funds where those funds are not needed. They are investing funds in building beautiful auditoriums and beautiful washrooms, etc. But they are not investing it in the latest equipment and so on. And therefore, the professors, the staff, the researchers, the students, they are not able to do any world class cutting edge research. So it is just churning out substandard, outdated research, and that's what's happening. There is no new invention coming out of the IITs. There is no new research coming out of the IITs. This is something that you find over and over and over again in the entire Indian academic system, not just in the IITs, even in the universities, the best universities supposedly of the country. It is something I've spoken about in the past. It's very frustrating. So that is the sad situation in the country right now. The entire academic system is controlled by a non-academic, non-research bureaucracy who are just bureaucrats. And even, I mean, if you look at the way people are promoted, it's all it's more to do with politics than their actual achievements or their actual research output. So that is the sad state of academia today. But to answer your question in brief, there is no real research that's happening. Maybe 1% of the researchers are really good, world class. Maybe the theoreticians are able to do real research, some of them. But the majority of these academicians and researchers are themselves quite mediocre. So that's the situation we are in right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's really bad, sir. But hopefully things get better in future.
I hope
Thank
so.
you very much,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Right. Let me bring in Sanjeev. Hi, Sanjeev.
Hello, sir. Uh, I am your audience from the Ranveer show. I really loved your
Nice.
channel. I have
Nice
a
to meet you.
question.
Yeah.
Since you have preached a lot about the dharmic culture, its sustainability, do you think we failed moving towards the West, propagating it towards the West? What do you think were the reasons which did not let us propagate towards the West?
So, uh, the fact is that there was a time about 1500 years or so before today, before the Christianization of Europe. At that time, the culture that was prevalent in Europe, was a manifestation of what we call dharmic culture. So there was a cultural continuum across Eurasia, from the westernmost parts of Europe, the British Islands, all the way eastwards to India. It was a single cultural continuum. You had very interesting local regional manifestations of the same overarching culture, which is called the Indo-European culture. I don't know if it's a very accurate term, but that's what they call it. So the Vedic pantheon of gods, Indra, Varun, Mitra, etc., the same gods are found in Greece, ancient Greece, in Rome, in the Nordic regions. The Vikings, they had the same gods. The Germanic peoples also had the same gods. They gave them different names, but the gods were the same. The Slavic gods also were the same. So you had the same culture everywhere. It was spread across Eurasia. Then you had the Christianization of Europe, which wiped out violently the native culture of Europe. And then this was a very expansionist kind of culture. The Abrahamic religions are expansionist religions. They are exclusivist, supremacist, and expansionist. And that's how they were able to capture, conquer large parts of the world. And that's the situation we're in today. So the dharmic culture is not a supremacist, exclusivist, and expansionist culture. We don't believe in converting people to our religion. We don't believe in using force. You want to do it, you do it. If you don't want to do it, your life, your choice. We don't care. So that is the reason why our culture is today confined only to certain parts of India, not even throughout the entirety of India. That's your answer.
Yes, sir. And if we were to fix the current system of science and technology, the learning as well as research, what pointers could you suggest in the future that could be done?
It will take a significant amount of reforms. It's not going to happen overnight. It will not take 1 week, 1 month, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade. It's going to take at least a couple of decades. It's a long process. I have an entire video. I think it was episode 30 or 31 thereabouts, in which I have given a very detailed presentation of what the problems are and what can be done to some extent to start reforming the education system. So I would request you to take a look at that video if you have the time. It's a 1 hour
Sure.
plus video in which I have given all the details. Right.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your questions. Nice to meet you. Thanks. Bye.
Nice to meet you too.
Swastik. Hi, Swastik. Can you hear
Hello,
me?
sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, hi.
Am I
Okay, what's your
audible?
question, sir? Yes, yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
I'm from Himachal Pradesh. So
Nice.
starting with the first question is, um, when we see all the Abrahamic religions, their communities are very much concentric. They all are have the same beliefs, everything same. They are very much less philosophical, but they are very much political. So were these religions actually made philosophical and then with time made political, or the main thing was political but philosophies were added with them?
So if you look at the history of the Abrahamic religions, the very genesis, the very birth of it, it is about one prophet claiming that he has received the word of God, and then everybody is supposed to follow it. And there is no yes or no, there is no right or wrong. You just have to blindly believe and follow whatever I say. So it's always been like that from the very beginning. There are three Abrahamic religions that we know of. I mean that are in existence, and they all follow the very similar precepts and beliefs. So it is a very political structure. It is organized in a military fashion. I'm not criticizing it. It's just an observation. So that's just how it is. So there is no room for questioning or dissenting. You have to believe, and that's it. There is no option. There is no alternative. You have to just blindly believe whatever is written in their books and so on. In Hinduism, it's very different. You can question. You can even be an atheist. They will not throw you out of a building. You can be LGBTQ or whatever, and no one cares. You live your life, I live my life. So there is no compulsion, there is no force, there is nothing. So it's a very different culture. So that's why you find this significant difference between dharmic culture and the Abrahamic religions. Right.
Second question. Um,
Yeah, sure.
we are all mentally colonized. You, I, very much. Even we
Yeah.
become extreme right, still we are very colonized. Even I was looking for a course here. It was introduction to machine learning. It was Mandarin, Spanish, Hindi was not there, even though a lot of us watch. So I want to ask that Indic Renaissance is one of the things to overcome it. Do we really need it? And if we read it, that what are the things, the sources we really need to do it?
So what you are saying is very true. You will find books being printed in very small, obscure languages like Swahili or God knows what, but it will not be done in Hindi. If you buy a laptop, you will not find a keyboard in the Hindi or Indian languages. But if you go to Afghanistan, you will find a keyboard in Pashto. So it is something that like we have not done enough to ensure that our culture is respected, and it is given the sufficient amount of space that it deserves, right? And that is all a consequence of mental colonization, like you clearly point out. And what it causes is that because of this situation, Indians lack self confidence, Indians lack self belief. When Indians go abroad, they feel that everyone is superior to them. When some foreigner comes to India, they think that the Indians think that this person is better than us because they speak English with a different accent and they have a white skin, etc., and so on. So all of these things are causing Indians to lack self-respect, self-belief, and all that. So this needs to be addressed. It has to happen through the government. We can keep demanding it, but unless the government that we have elected, unless the government takes certain steps and actions, nothing's going to happen. So I hope that when the government decides the time is right, hopefully soon, they will start doing something about this, and that would be good for the country.
Can I ask another question?
Okay, one more. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's going to be a little personal one. Like, you are a physicist. I'm first time talking to a scientist like this face to face. Um, um, Whenever we do something creative, there's like a box. You think hard, you try to tap it. I call it kind of genius box. So what is your way to tap it and open it and get the creative idea? Because it's very hard to do it. It frustrates you a lot.
I don't I don't know. I mean, I think it's just something that every individual has a certain personality, a certain kind of character. Some people are naturally creative, naturally curious, etc. You know what? The truth is that every little child is brilliant. Everybody is born brilliant. Everybody is naturally curious. Every little child is curious about things, and every little child is creative. It is the education system that hammers that creativity out of the child, and over the years we stop thinking creatively, and we stop being curious because we are not allowed to ask questions and so on. So I think in my case that did not happen. I did not allow the education system to break me, so I have been able to retain the curiosity and the creativity, etc. I don't think I'm an exceptionally brilliant person like some people claim and all. I'm just a regular person. I just have found the right way of thinking. Uh, so so that's what I can answer. I think everybody can do it. Everybody can be creative if we just recondition, reprogram our minds. Everybody can do it. So that's my answer to
Thank
you.
you. Love your work, sir. Thank you, sir.
thank,
Thank you for this
thank you so much.
opportunity.
Thank you. Bye bye. Okay, let me take a couple more questions. Let us bring in Smriti. Hi.
Hi, sir. I would like to know more about. Hi.
Hi. Yeah,
I
go on.
I would like to know about Ahilya Bai Holkar.
Ahalyabai Holkar, yes. So Ahalyabai Holkar was a prominent queen. I think she belonged to a Maratha family, Maratha dynasty. And see, I don't remember the exact dates and all, but I
Mhm.
believe that her husband died when she was quite young. She had one child, one son. And after once her husband died, she felt hopeless and helpless, and she expressed the desire to commit sati and join her husband in the afterlife, but her father-in-law was able to persuade her not to do that, and then she became the queen of the kingdom. And she went on to become a very prominent queen, somebody who achieved a lot. She rebuilt a lot of temples that the Turks had destroyed, including in Varanasi and other places, and she ensured that her people uh, had the right kind of justice and all. There was a time when people, even if they became rich, they used to try and hide their wealth so that the rulers will not try and tax them too much. But she made it very clear that she was not going to unnecessarily tax people, and you can actually be rich, and it is good for the country, it's good for the society that people become prosperous and so on. So she did a great deal of good in her life, and after she passed away, she is even today remembered as a saintly person. So that's what I can tell you in very brief about the great Maharani Ahalya Bai Holkar.
May I ask another question?
Please go ahead.
Yes. Um, you mentioned this earlier that calculus, even though it was Indian, others have taken credits for it. Even the Hindu numerals are called Arabic numerals, and there are so many examples for that. Can government do something about it? Like, can they form a committee and give proper credits, like claim it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The government has all the money, all the resources. India is one of the wealthiest countries in the world. The Indian government is one of the wealthiest governments in the world. It has all the power. It can constitute a committee. It can uh, create a new institute of research, historical research. The government can do whatever it wants. It has the resources. We have
Mhm.
sufficient numbers of historians in the country, especially young researchers who can get together and and do things a priori without the burden of the colonial baggage that the older historians have. So I think the government can do it tomorrow if they wish to, and we can um, research all of these chapters of our history and rediscover the correct chronology of the development of Indian science, of Indian mathematics, from algebra to trigonometry to calculus to infinite series and all that. I think it's something that can be done if enough resources are provided and the infrastructure is put in place. So I think, yes, the government certainly can do it. I have been saying that the government should do these things. I hope that one of these days they will decide to do it. But yeah, you're right. This should happen.
Yeah. Is there any way we could do something, like apart from putting it out on the internet? I don't see anything else.
See, individuals can do it. People like me, we talk about history. We could possibly write articles, write books, etc. But what needs to happen is that a number of good, talented people need to come together, put their heads together, combine forces, because when multiple people get together, the effect is much larger. And for that, you need some sort of leadership to bring a number of different people together, and you need the right kind of resources, because if you want people to work on something, you have to pay them for it, right? Because people need to earn something, so that's why the right kind of leadership needs to be put in place. We need leadership and we need funds. If that is available, we can do it.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I'm very grateful.
Most welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, whom shall I call now?
Please. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir,
Hi.
I'm listening from like past 20 minutes. Sir, I'm your big fan. I watch all your series. Sir, I
Nice to
have
meet
two
you.
questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Agaj Sharma and I'm from Punjab. Okay, so
Okay.
one question I have. You have mentioned many times that when you study history and you read geopolitics, you start learning about patterns. So my question is, like, what pattern do you see right now, and what phase we are going through, and what is relevant to right now that has already occurred in the past?
The pattern that I'm witnessing right now is that we seem to be back in in a certain phase of history that is reminiscent of the 1930s. So if you go back to the 1930s, you will see that the world was realigning very quickly. New uh, power centers had emerged. Germany was rearming itself. The Western world, no, Germany was part of the Western world, but the UK was very pacifistic at the time. They did not want to offend Germany too much, and Hitler was, rebuilding Germany as a great military power. The Soviets were another force there. So today, what I see is that the Chinese are showing the same kind of behavioral pattern today that Nazi Germany was showing in the 1930s. So history, I say, is cyclical. It occurs again and again according to certain patterns, and that's the kind of pattern I'm seeing right now.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And one more question, sir. What
Yeah,
is the contribution of Indians in geology over the
in
ancient times and
geology,
even today? Yes, sir.
that is the question that has come out of left field. I don't know. Geology is not a science that I have studied in any significant detail. Have Indians contributed? Not that I know of, unfortunately. Not that I know of. But I
Okay,
am sure that I don't have sufficient knowledge. This is one field that I haven't studied. So,
even
to the best
economy.
of my knowledge, yeah, yeah, So sorry for that. I cannot answer this question
It's okay. It's okay,
sufficiently
sir.
well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank.
All right. Whom do we bring in? Let's bring in Karthik. Hi, Karthik.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible now?
Did I take you earlier again? Are you back?
Yes, sir. Actually, my internet problem was there.
Okay,
Sir,
okay,
am I
okay. Yeah,
audible
please
now?
tell me. Yes, yes, I can hear you. Please ask
सर
your question.
सर जैसे कि आपने कहा था अभी इंडिया को बहुत प्रोग्रेस करनी है एंड वी हैव टू टेक आवर क्रेडिट्स व्हिच वी वर डिप्राइव्ड ऑफ सो सर डू यू थिंक विद सेक्युलरिज्म कैन इंडिया get progress in the future years and what should be the type of government which should be very good for a country like India.
Okay, good question. I think secularism is not the right choice for India. Secularism is going to take India backwards, not forwards. That's question. That's answer number one. What is the best type of governance in India? I think we need to reintroduce the kind of governance system we had during the Mahajanapada era. We had a hybrid form of democracy in which would have a leader, a long-term leader who would govern the country on behalf of the people. You would also have a democratically elected setup, and you would have a judiciary that would actually be subservient to the people, who would not lord about over the people and so on. So it was a very interesting form of democracy. Democracy, as our prime minister has recently said, is was born in India. Democracy emerged out of ancient India way before the Greeks invented it. So that is something we need to look at and maybe try and recreate that system, because the current democratic system that we have today, the so-called democracy that we have, it doesn't serve the people. It doesn't really take the country forward. There is too much infighting, there is too much division, and the entire energy of the country is wasted in this internal friction instead of all being aligned in the same direction. So we need to definitely reform our system of governance, administration, and democracy. So I think maybe we should consider the Mahajanapada era more seriously and try to replicate that and see how that works.
And
Right?
sir, I am a student of I am currently studying in class 11, and I had
Mhm.
very much interest in history, but I was not able to opt it because the history which was there in the textbooks which I had to study in class 11th and 12th, that not वो मुझे इतनी अच्छी नहीं लगी जैसे कि हमें पूरा नहीं बताया जाता है अच्छे से मतलब पुराने से रिलेट करके और जो होता है वो असलियत में नहीं बताया जाता है तो सर लाइक आई लव हिस्ट्री एंड आई लव टू know much more about history sir I had seen your video about the history books sir I had read that A.L. Basham book and as you said there are many wrong things written which need to be corrected like that of Aryan invasion theory. Sir, what are the other books which should I prefer? And I have uh, gone through all your episodes. It was really helpful.
Thank you. Listen, I cannot tell you where to start. There are hundreds of history books, thousands of history books. Um, So maybe you can start with the history of civilization by Will Durant. Maybe that is one possibility, or maybe one choice if you can find that series of books. But you know, I have read so many books and things that I cannot think right now of like two or three books that I can give you right now that you can start off with. But try and look at that video. I think I've given a number of history books recommendations. You can use that as a starting point, and you should start with some overview of history, maybe overview of world history. There are many books like that, or overview of Indian history. There will be lots of wrong things, but that's how you start, and eventually you'll start figuring out what is right, what is wrong. So it takes a lot of reading. There's no one book or five books that you can read. This, if you want to understand world history and Indian history properly, it's going to take you a lot of time and a lot of reading. So read as much as you can. That's what I will suggest. Right?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice meeting you. Bye. Okay, let's bring in Vasu. Hi, Vasu.
Hello, sir.
Hi, hi.
Sir,
How
I
are you
am your
doing?
great sir. It's honor to meet you, sir.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
So, sir, my question is that I am a student of class 8. So, in our books like history, we have seen, sir, in history, they say that Mughals were very great. But you says they were just a Turkic invaders who just looted India. So, sir, why they are telling us this, that they were very great and they were revolutionary like this?
So that is the agenda that these Marxist historians have had for a very long time. See, during the Nehruvian era of India's post-independence phase, we know that Nehru was a mentally colonized gentleman. He was a wonderful, nice chacha or whatever we call him, but he was mentally colonized. He was an Anglophile. He loved the British very much. He owed his entire political career to the British, and he was also an enormous fan of the Mughals, of the Turks who invaded and occupied India for a very long time. You can read what he has written about them. He was quite he portrayed them in a very good way, etc. So because he was in power, that's why the historians wanted to please him. And eventually what happened was that historians of the Marxist persuasion were given the role of writing India's history textbooks. And today, if you look at the Indian academic system, there is a stranglehold of Marxist academics in the academic system. So the entire perspective they're putting forward is a colonial perspective. They want to essentially eradicate Indian culture and Hinduism from India. And one of the ways of doing it is to make Indians feel that their culture is inferior because we have always lost everything, which is not true at all. But by portraying it that way in the official history textbooks, it puts a certain kind of mental conditioning into the head of every child. So there are political agendas and other agendas at work over here, which is why they have been glorifying India's invaders, occupiers, and oppressors.
Thank you, sir. Sir, my next question is, sir, since when and why did the sati system start in India?
Yeah, that is a topic I will take up separately. Uh, it is portrayed in such a way that India has been a horrible misogynistic country in which women were burned alive after their husbands died. I just gave the example of Maharani Ahalya Bai Holkar,
Yes, sir.
who was persuaded by her father-in-law not to do that, and she went on to become a great queen, one of the greatest queens of the past 1000 years. And there are so many data points I can give you that prove that there is no such pattern. You had the Bengal famine, you had famine after famine that was engineered artificially by the British during the British occupation of India, in which so many people died, including men. Did their wives all commit sati? Nobody did, right? So there are so many examples that completely prove this wrong, but it is something that our history textbooks and historians keep on harping on, but it's not true, right? So that's
Thank
the
you, sir.
answer.
Sir, my last question is, sir, from where did the swastik symbol originated and why did Hitler used it in his flag?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a separate video about that. It's a very, very detailed analysis that I have to do to answer your question, so I cannot answer it in brief, but I will make a video about it in the future. Right?
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye. Okay, I have taken it very far. I will take one more viewer, one more person. I apologize in advance to everybody else who has been waiting. I really apologize. It's impossible for me to bring everybody in. I will bring in one person. Whom shall I bring in? One person, one person. I'll bring in Sankalp. Hi, Sankalp.
All right. Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna.
I have this doubt regarding. See, we have been talking about China's economic prowess and also their economic boom. So, are there any chances that they are also falsifying their figures or just over exaggerating?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a very much a possibility. So, right now, China's economy is slowing down. That is the data that we already have. It was growing at the rate of 10 plus percent per year for a very long time. Now, the official figures, the official Chinese Communist Party figures, the data, the statistics is it says that the Chinese economy is growing at 5 to 6% per year. And yet, if you examine the signs and symptoms coming out of China, the signs of recession, the Evergrande crisis, and so on and so forth, the actual figure seems to be like 1 or 2% of growth. So it's not only me who is saying that. Lots of economists have remarked about this. You will find people writing about this right now today, economists writing about it, and China observers writing about it, that China's economy seems to be growing only at 1 or 2% per year. They are falsifying the figures, and China seems to be headed towards recession and a crisis. And that is actually bad news for the world, because it may lead the Chinese Communist Party to take certain very stupid and rash actions that could plunge the world into war. So, yeah, you are right. It is certainly possible that the Chinese Communist Party is falsifying the economic data.
All right. So, last question for today.
Yeah.
One of the viewers also said this, that maybe we failed to propagate our the concept of Hinduism. So, do you think that ISKCON, you must be familiar with it, are on that part, or they are just brainwashing the Westerners, or just
So,
spreading the awareness of Hinduism?
So you know what? I haven't studied ISKCON in great detail. I'm aware of the fact that they have branches in many parts of the world, in North America, in Europe as well, Russia as well. I haven't studied their teachings, their writings, and their philosophy. So I can't really answer whether they. I mean, what kind of Hinduism do they represent? What kind of dharma do they represent? Are they portraying it correctly? I can't answer it because I haven't studied it. I haven't been part of their whatever it is that they're doing. But as long as they are propagating dharma faithfully, I think it's a very good thing, because it will give more exposure to the world to Indian teachings, as long as it is done faithfully and accurately. So that's what I can tell you, but I haven't personally seen it or examined it in sufficient detail to give you a judgment, a value judgment of what they're doing,
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, my friends, I apologize to everybody who is waiting in the wings. I am so sorry. I have run out of time, but we will do this again. Uh, so so yeah, I'm gonna have to stop it here. Those of you who are waiting, I'm very sorry, but I will try and take you up next time. So this was great fun. This was more fun than I expected, talking to all of you live, and I think I will do it again. So until next time, thank you so much. It was a wonderful episode 50, and this is going to continue. We're gonna keep on doing these live Q&A sessions as long as it is possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, and bye.